everyone. Okay, so the big thing with this chapter is, while out on a shopping trip, Shin and Sakamoto end up meeting a young girl named Lu Xaiotang, being chased by the Yakuza, who are after a key in her possession that belonged to her parents. And and once again, I gotta give massive props to Yuto Suzuki for his visual storytelling, because what I just described as the plot of this chapter is something that he managed to convey and get across without the need for expository amounts of dialogue. Like, don't get me wrong, there is in fact dialogue that kind of explains that kind of gives us an that does explain what's going on. But the only importance the dialogue has in this chapter was to reveal the part about the key and its importance. As far as everything else, though, it's like in that very beginning of the chapter. One thing I gotta give Suzuki credit for is he manages to get so much information across just in that beginning moment of Lu being chased by by her pursuers. Like just in that beginning portion of the chapter, so much is conveyed just in that chase alone, and you can kind of piece together what exactly is going on just through visual cues of like the fact that the suits they're wearing probably means that they are of the Yakuza, and just and her dress itself means, yeah, that Lu herself is a martial artist, but also probably someone related to, but she herself is related to why she's being, what she herself is related to the group that's chasing her. So like it's so much visual information that's conveyed just in that beginning portion. And I think for me, this also this is a chapter that once again proves, I think efficient storytelling definitely seems to be this author's MO. Like trying to use the visual medium as efficiently as possible, I think seems to be the one thing this author really loves to try and do. Anyway, um, now with that said, let's talk about the girl, Lu Xaiotang, because since I read this series on the Shonen Jump app, promotional banners and ads are kind of inevitability. So I do know that Lu is one of the main cast that joins Sakamoto's store as an employee. And outside of the hilarious qualification Taro has for her about whether or not she can make pork buns, it'll be interesting to see how this arc is resolved, because if I'm putting the pieces together correctly, this whole conflict is a matter of inheritance. But the context of that inheritance is what's going to make this interesting, because I've been around the block with anime and manga long enough to know that what the Yakuza think of this inheritance is, and what Lu's parents actually left for her, are likely two different things. But with this character Wang also saying it will help him control the Chinese black market, that does make me think that there's still going to be some importance to this inheritance, or this treasure that Lu's parents left behind, more than just a letter saying we love you kind of thing. So like it's probably going to be that, but more than that as well. Um, and yeah, as armed with the knowledge that Lu will be joining Sakamoto's store, it's the classic. You can definitely tell with this chapter, we're still in a lot of the sort of like group group building aspects of the series still very on. Like it's that classic shonen thing they're doing here of gathering allies for when the big threat of the series makes itself known, which admittedly is kind of maybe some of the slower parts of this is the one thing that is kind of slow about this series. But although I do admit having a one thing I do admit that does make Lu kind of an interesting character for me is the fact that she knows Tai Chi. And I know that characters knowing some kind of martial arts in anime and manga isn't new, but Tai Chi specifically is an interesting new wrinkle, because it's not a fighting style I see showcased all that often in manga and anime. Like it's something that isn't a very particular fighting style. See, most of the time it's kung fu or just some kind of or some kind of offshoot martial art or something that exists. But it's like, yeah, I've never seen Tai Chi specifically kind of focused on in a way. But and yeah, if these if these doofus brothers weren't aware of who Sakamoto was before, then they'll sure as hell know his name by the time he's done with them. Which, yeah, admittedly, that's also one of the more interesting things about this chapter of this series to me, which is that for a famous assassin like Sakamoto, his name doesn't seem like it's getting passed around in the modern day all that much. Like, it's one thing to hide your physical identity, but once your name is dropped, you'd think there'd be some recognition there. Although maybe now that Taro suplexed one of the brothers, that might cause them to at least piece together who Taro is. But again, the fact that this isn't the first time this has and happened tells me there's some fuckery going on here. Like someone or something, whether that's the Order or someone else, is keeping Sakamoto's name off public record from being recognized by the criminal underworld. Like I know that again. I know this is probably me, something I'm probably overthinking, but it's it's one of the it's one of the small little details I'm kind of noticing about this series is that again, for someone as famous as Sakamoto, even if he's physically hiding his identity, that more people aren't at least recognizing his name. That's something that's kind of I really kind of said, huh, this is starting to get this is getting a little suspicious in my eyes. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like something about this just doesn't. Something about that is particularly doesn't feel right. Again, maybe I'm overthinking it, but it is something I'm noticing. Um, Also, I'm not gonna lie. Like, so also, I'm not gonna lie. Reading this chapter, there was one or two moments that made me say, "How's the anime gonna make this past the censors?" Like, it's no secret, anime nowadays has censored a bit of stuff over the years in their anime adaptations. So, unless the studio adapting this series has been given a little more leeway, there are a few moments that are making me say, yeah, how's this gonna work? Which, yeah, for those curious, I do plan to review the anime as well. This is kind of an experiment for me to see how far I can get into the manga before the anime airs, which probably not going to be very far considering it starts airing in January, but hopefully I can at least make it to the mid double digits, like chapter 14 or 15. At least that's my hope. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe to me on Twitter, and on Crunchyroll, be sure to notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight, signing off. Later, everyone.